acquainted with Madison and the team here from ADOT. These folks have done an amazing job in communicating and ramping me up and supporting Mike and Ron. And we're at a point where we're a little further down the road than I had hoped that we would be, but we're still at a point where it's worth all of us getting together and having a conversation to see where we are and kind of get an idea of what's coming up next, and you guys to have an opportunity to give up ideas and questions as well. So what we'll do is we'll hold it town hall. We'll let them do their presentation and hold off the questions. And then when we do go Q&A, we'll just line up along here and speak from the podium. Don't worry about giving out your rep card number. You don't need to do that. But anyways, I do want to introduce, I'm sorry I didn't get the last names, but I'm going to do my Vegas for the first name. Madison, Trisha, Dana, and Nikki. Boom.
Very good.
And so we'll let them have at it, and let's get back Sun City West welcome.
Right. Everyone hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. All right. Hi, my name's Madison Cole. I am the Community Relations Project Manager assigned to the Loop 303 155th Avenue Traffic Interchange project. We wanted to thank you all for allowing us to come present about this project. We know that this has been of significant interest to the Sun City West community, and we want you to know that we do hear your concerns and we are committed to addressing those and keeping you engaged throughout the project. With me, I have Trisha Brown, the project manager for this project. She'll be available to help answer technical questions at the end of the presentation. And we have also shared the presentation with Jim. So if you all are interested in reviewing this afterward, that can be made available to you. Like Jim said, if you have any questions, please hold them until the end, and then we will have a Q&A session. Now I'll hand it off to Trisha.
All right, thank you. Can everybody hear me? Somebody in the back row? Okay, thank you very much.
Nope. Nope. Sorry.
That is, let's let them get back on the meeting. Sorry.
You just have to click.
It wouldn't. Oh, there we go. Now we're moving forward,
So
but now we're not sharing
Yeah,
it
make
with
sure.
them.
Yep.
So let's go back
That's
here. Share.
Yep.
Share this
Great
one.
job. You can hit the hide this. Yeah, hide the floating whatever it is. And then right here.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. We should be good.
Okay. All right. Just like a pro medicine. Never hurts to have 100 people watching.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you everyone for having us here today. We'd like to start by providing some background on the Loop 303 US 60 to El Mirage Road Interchange Alternative Study, which was the study that selected the 155th Avenue alignment for the new Loop 303 interchange. The Northwest Valley is growing rapidly, and currently the US 60 Loop 303 interchange and the US 60 163rd Avenue intersection are the only freeway access points for communities north of Loop 303 and east of US 60. These two interchanges are already at or near capacity, and traffic volumes will continue to grow. The Maricopa Association of Governments regional traffic model confirms that this area needs a new freeway interchange to serve existing and future traffic demand, and an interchange located on the north side of Loop 303 between US 60 and El Mirage Road has been programmed in MAG's regional transportation plan for several years now. This project is in the MAG regional transportation plan. And it's funded for construction with regional funding provided by a 0.5-cent sales tax for transportation approved by Maricopa County voters as part of Proposition 479. In 2024, ADOT initiated a project assessment, the Loop 303 US 60 to Elm Rouge Road Traffic Interchange Alternative Study, to identify the best location for a new Loop 303 interchange. The PA was completed in June of 2025 and documents the study team's full analysis and recommended interchange location. A project assessment is an early planning document for a project. This project is not receiving federal funding, so a federal NEPA study, an environmental impact statement, or environmental assessment was not required. The purpose of the project assessment was to evaluate possible interchange locations and to determine which one would perform best. While the PA included preliminary design concepts, it did not determine the final design of the interchange. We have begun the final design of the interchange now, and design details, including the exact ramp configuration, visual appearance, height of structures, and noise wall locations will be refined and determined during this phase. So the study evaluated 4 potential locations for a new Loop 303 interchange between US 60 and Elm Rouge Road. As shown on the map, those 4 locations from west to east were 155th Avenue, 151st Avenue, 147th Avenue, and Litchfield Road. A 5th option, the no-build alternative, was also considered. That alternative would have left the freeway as it currently is. The study determined that the no-build alternative would not address any of the identified traffic needs and that congestion would continue to worsen. So to determine which location was best, the study team evaluated each of the interchange locations based on the 6 factors shown on the screen. The first criteria was regional mobility, which evaluated how much each alternative would relieve congestion on US 60 and on 163rd and the surrounding local streets. The second evaluation criteria was traffic operations, which evaluated how smoothly traffic would flow at the new interchange and whether it could handle emergency situations. The third criteria was environmental, which evaluated potential visual and noise impacts to nearby homes and the golf course, as well as the effects on flood control facilities. The fourth criteria was engineering feasibility, which evaluated the potential capacity or the potential complexity, of each location's design concept and whether it was compatible with future freeway improvements and the existing Loop 303 US 60 interchange. The 5th criteria was social and economic impact, which evaluated whether the alternative opened access to future development areas and how many residences would be affected. The sixth criteria was cost to design and construct the interchange. And lastly, public input on the 4 locations being considered was another key factor considered by the study team before selecting the interchange location. Now I'll turn the presentation back over to Madison to cover some information about the public involvement efforts and public input.
All right, thanks, Tricia. Because public feedback was a key part of the study evaluation process, ADOT provided the following opportunities for the community to provide input on the alternatives. The first was a comprehensive online survey. We also provided an opportunity to comment via email, phone, or mail for those who weren't able to take the survey or preferred to provide feedback that way. And lastly, ADOT gave a presentation on the alternatives at a public meeting hosted by the Maricopa Association of Governments in March 2025. And we took public comments at the meeting while also pointing people to the online survey to provide feedback. ADOT conducted the online survey in February 2025 to get input on the interchange alternatives. The study was available for 1 month. It showed all 4 potential locations, a graphic of each alternative design concept, as well as considerations for each alternative, which included how well it addressed traffic needs and other considerations such as anticipated impacts. This graphic shows the considerations for the 155th Avenue interchange location. For each of the 4 alternatives, we asked 3 questions. How much do you support this location on a scale of 1 to 5? What do you like about this alternative, and what do you dislike about this alternative? ADOT has been asked what public notification was done to inform the community about opportunities for input on the study. ADOT used multiple outreach methods to communicate about the study and opportunities to provide input on the alternatives through the online survey and MAG public meeting. We posted detailed information about the study and alternatives on our project website with a link to the survey. We sent email notices to approximately 18,500 subscribers of ADOT's Loop 303 and US 60 Grand Avenue subscriber lists. We sent direct email notices to staff at PORA and other HOAs located near the project area for them to share with residents. We posted on ADOT's Nextdoor, X, and Instagram accounts. We issued a news release that was picked up by several local media outlets, and at the public meeting where we presented the alternatives, we advised how to provide comments via the survey and other methods. ADOT received survey responses from 1,563 people who provided nearly 7,000 comments. As shown by the pie charts on this slide, the 155th Avenue alternative received significantly more public support than any of the other alternatives evaluated, with approximately 2/3 of respondents supporting this location, 20% opposing the location, and 11% neutral. The primary reason cited by the public for supporting this location was that it provided the best traffic relief at the US 60 Loop 303 interchange and the US 60 163rd Avenue intersection. The 147th Avenue and 151st Avenue interchanges had the second highest level of support, and the Litchfield Road location had the lowest support, with the public feeling it was too far east to have as much benefit to traffic.
Thank you. So now we'll look at some of the interchange evaluation results. So the table on this slide is a simplified version of the evaluation matrix included in the final project assessment. This table shows key considerations and anticipated impacts to the Sun City West and Portobello communities. As you can see, the 155th Avenue alignment performed best in nearly every category and was the selected alternative. The 155th Avenue relocation will reduce, the 155th Avenue location will reduce congestion more than any other alternative. Traffic models estimate the 155th Avenue location will reduce traffic on 163rd Avenue north of US 60 by 33.1%, reduce traffic on US 60 by 18%, and reduce total vehicle hours traveled in the region by 6.7%. 3 of the 4 alternatives evaluated during the study would have had some noise or visual impacts for Sun City West. The 155th Avenue location has the least community noise and visual impacts due to the distance from homes. The only location that it would have had no impacts for Sun City West was the Litchfield Road alternative. However, that alternative would have had significant noise and visual impacts for the Portobello community. And it would have provided the least congestion relief of any of the alternatives, and it also received the least public support. The 155th Avenue location had the highest community support. 155th Avenue also had the second lowest total cost estimate of the alternatives at approximately $90 million, which includes the cost of design, right-of-way, and construction. It should be noted that no right-of-way would be needed from the Sun City West community for this location. So now we'll take a look at the project timeline. So as we mentioned before, we are just starting the final design process for the interchange. Final design for the interchange began in March of 2026 and is expected to be completed in late 2027. ADOT expects to host a public meeting in early 2027 to present 60% design. The presentation will include updated design renderings, a project simulation video, and information about noise wall locations. Notification about this public meeting will include a mailer sent to residents and businesses located within 1 mile of the planned interchange. Emails sent to ADOT's Loop 303 subscriber list, next door posts and other social media, news releases shared with media outlets, communication with local jurisdictions to share via their own communication channels, and emails sent to HOA representatives, including our contacts at PORA. Construction is anticipated to begin in 2028. And now we'll get a little bit more into the details on the 155th Avenue interchange concepts. So this interchange configuration included in the final project assessment showed northbound on and off ramps crossing over Loop 303 to connect with 155th Avenue on the north side of the freeway. The graphic on this slide was included in the PA. The locations of those flyover ramps are indicated by red squares on this slide. As mentioned, the purpose of the study was to determine the location of the future interchange, not to provide a final design plan. So the flyover design was shared as an example of one possible design concept. After publishing the project assessment, ADOT received feedback from several Sun City West residents expressing concerns about the potential visual impacts of the flyover configuration. The design team has since chosen an alternative concept for final design, which is called a tight diamond interchange configuration. It is the most common traffic interchange design used in freeways in the valley. In this tight diamond configuration, Loop 303 will be raised up over 155th Avenue instead of using the flyover ramps that rise over the freeway. This tight diamond interchange configuration will reduce the height and visual presence of the interchange structures north of Sun City West. This design will also reduce the complexity and cost of the interchange. Because design is still early, we don't yet have graphics showing the modified design, but the arrow on this image points to where the flyover ramps will be removed from the design and the concepts. And the green line indicates approximately where the tight diamond interchange ramps will be located under Loop 303. The purple area indicates the approximate location of the interchange north of Loop 303. So beyond the interchange itself, the project includes several related road and bridge improvements. These include improving and extending 155th Avenue between Happy Valley Road and the new interchange, improving Pinnacle Peak Road between 163rd and 155th Avenues, adding 2 new bridges over the Beardsley Canal to connect the interchange to Pinnacle Peak Road and 155th Avenue, adding a new bridge where 155th Avenue crosses the McMicken Dam outlet channel, and designing an extension of McMicken Way from 155th Avenue to 148th Drive. The map on the right shows approximately where these project elements will be located. So another concern that we've heard from the Sun City West community is about freeway noise. ADOT is required by federal standards to conduct a noise analysis on every new interchange project. Noise analysis are always done during final design because design must be complete enough to model accurately. This is why we don't have the results to share here today. We conduct the noise analysis for properties within 500 to 900 feet of the freeway. We will present noise analysis findings and recommendations at the next public meeting in early 2027 once we have completed the 60% design. The noise analysis will also be shared on the website for public reviews. So a couple other projects in the area. One of the evaluation criteria considered during the Loop 303 interchange alternative study was compatibility with 2 other projects in the area, one of them being the ultimate improvements planned at the US 60 Loop 303 interchange. In 2022, ADOT completed a feasibility study to identify the ultimate recommended US 60 Loop 303 interchange reconfiguration. The reconfiguration included a US 60 overpass at 163rd Avenue and Loop 303 on and off ramps over the railroad tracks. Near-term improvements at the interchange were completed in February 2026 to mitigate some of the traffic congestion. The improvements included additional travel lanes, dedicated turn lanes, restriping, new signs, traffic signal timing adjustments, and railroad coordination. The ultimate US 60 Loop 303 interchange project is included in MAG's Regional Strategic Infrastructure Investment Plan and is funded by Prop 479. Design is expected to begin in 2030 with construction programmed for 2033. The second project that I mentioned that we are coordinating with is the El Mirage Road extension. This is a separate project from the one that we have discussed today. The 155th Avenue Traffic Interchange is an ADOT project that will add a new freeway interchange connecting Loop 303 at 155th Avenue. The El Mirage Road extension is a different project led by the city of Peoria in cooperation with ADOT and MAG. It will extend El Mirage Road northward from Loop 303 to Jomax Road with new bridges and intersections. These are two separate projects with separate funding, separate timelines, and separate public involvement processes. However, the two study and design teams have coordinated closely to make sure their traffic forecasts are consistent. Based on the Maricopa Association of Governments regional traffic model, continued growth in the area has created a need for both the 155th Avenue interchange and the El Mirage Road extension. Building both projects will offer greater traffic benefits than building either one alone. If you would like more information on the El Mirage Road extension project, you can visit elmirageroadextension.com.
All right, thank you for your time. For more information on the Loop 303 155th Ave interchange project, you can visit the link up here, azdot.gov/L303-155th Ave-interchange, or you can scan the QR code on the slide. If you visit that project webpage, you can also sign up for updates there. And I think now we'll open it up for questions. If you have other questions or comments, you can use any of these contact methods, email projects@azdot.gov, call the project information line, or send mail to our office. So, yeah. All right, thank you.
Trying to be able to see what.
You can share this
Yeah,
one if
let's
you
do one of yours.
Thank you, Jim. Right. Good. All right. Thank you, Jim. And thank you, PORA, for coordinating this and having this meeting here today. And thank you, ADOT people, for showing up. It is unfortunate that this is not one of the meetings that you should have had originally and given us notice when we all could have had the input. As you can see by your own statistics, all of the people that favored all these items aren't from Sun City West. These are people that were on the north side looking for their properties to have access to the 303. The items that you listed on your agenda up there for actually giving notice, totally ineffective. Absolutely zero effectiveness as far as giving notice to these people here. Now you're willing to go out and give written notice when you get final plans. But when the initial projects were developed, you didn't give out any notice to us, as if we are all in tune to your social media. We're not. This is a community of senior citizens. Most of us are living here permanently, but a lot of them come and go. I walked up and down Las Brisas, the main street that accesses at the golf course. Not one person ever heard of this project at the time when I went there. Your notice was totally ineffective to the people who are most impacted, totally most impacted by this project. The people on the north side of 303 don't have any impact on this. Their homes aren't being affected. You know, it was really sad when I went through this thing and the answers that I got back from your department were extremely weak. I'm totally disappointed in that. Your defense that you don't have to follow the rules because this is governed by local 479 financing, you don't have to find NEPA is insulting. We are the citizens here at Sun City West. You're telling me that you don't have to follow a federal project because you get away with having lenient state projects because it's financed here locally, and therefore some of the stuff you didn't even have to give us notice for. If this were a federal project, you wouldn't have been able to do this. This wouldn't have been a CAT exclusion federally. This would have been an environmental assessment program, and you would have had to do all of the other notifications and information and bring us in. You wouldn't have had a hearing out in surprise someplace when everybody, yeah, this is wonderful. You would have been required to give us notice, written notice of having a hearing and giving us input so we can tell you what we think of this project in our backyards. I'm interested because I don't know anything about this flyover program. That's the first time I saw whatever your flyover new directions are. I don't quite understand what the significance of that is and how that would affect Mr. Larson's diagram of everything, but I'm saddened by the fact that we didn't get input in this on a timely basis. Your statistics, as you show them, related to 155th and its original project. That, as you looked at your own statistics out there, said that was minimal impact. You then took that project at 155th, moved it 3 blocks to the east, next to 149th or 50th, whatever the other project was, which clearly states a moderate impact for all of those other items. And you didn't do any other study. You glommed on to the initial limited impact that was over there, and you moved right over there and didn't give anybody else notice or any other hearings. You switched from 4 options and took the 5th option. I've never heard of that in any project before. That was really unusual. So I don't know. I got questions for you. A lot of people want to make statements here. I'll pass on everything else that I've got until the end to see if I need to bring up anything else that hasn't been addressed by the other people. But thank you for being here. And again, it's too bad you weren't here originally. Yeah.
Number of my items and
We
questions.
want to wait.
Very close. Better?
Yes.
A number of my points and questions have already been expressed, but I do have something to add. Has ADOT considered property values? And what would they do about it if they have or have any? Next would be, you said there's a minimal height now, something has been redesigned, so what is the height of the proposed bridge?
So thank you. I'll go ahead and take that question. We are still collecting survey data at this time, which is why we were trying to push some of this information out until we get 60% designed and come back to the public meeting in early 2027. We don't have the actual height information at this time. We do believe, based on the initial review of flipping the ramps and taking 303 over 155th, it is going to reduce the height. We just don't have the actual number at this time.
A couple of people in our community have done their initial review, and it came out to about 30 feet for the height of the bridge, not including lights. That's to accommodate clearance for trucks and whatever. I'm sure you know that, right?
Well, I saw it in your news article.
So besides that, you have to put up a wall, an effective wall, which is only effective for sound 20 to 30 feet past the wall, which only affects no houses, would be uglier than the bridge itself. So minimal impacts on visual. I don't think people really did that. They don't live in our community. They don't realize that our community was picked by our residents for the beauty of the surrounding area. This is a disaster. And El Mirage would have been, in, I believe, most of our opinions, the most effective way to go. No bridge would have needed to be constructed. Thank you.
Last meeting, he says, as he talks, and he goes.
Thank you.
My name is Derek Larson. I live in, the little, on the first page, the little red dot, right on Las Brisas. 152nd Las Brisas, on the golf course. We've already said, I met some in the previous meeting. I have 27 years experience with the Oregon Department of Transportation, traffic perception, senior agent, project manager. 2 years, I was with the Attorney General's office representing the Oregon Department of Transportation. I've never seen anything as badly handled as you guys have handled this. It almost is embarrassing. On that first map, on the first picture, I want you to notice that when 303 was first built, it was built right along the existing edge of Sun City West. There was only 65 feet between traffic, the lanes of traffic, and the sound wall. Now, clearly on the design, there was never an intention to put any interchange between along the perimeter of Sun City West. What you're having to do is design a really strange, complex situation. Now we're looking at the old one. I have to look at what you're doing, but when you have the overpass going over the top, those ramps are dropping down right in between in the area that was part of the sound protection, between 65 feet between the sound wall. When you built the original sound wall, it's 10 feet concrete block. We can see trucks over the top of it. It was an insufficient sound wall when you built it in the beginning. Now, there should never be anything that should go in here that is at least 50 feet above the center line of the traffic patterns. If you're going to rise it up over this above now, you're going to have to raise that wall up probably to the point is 26 to 30 feet in elevation to protect us. The other thing I want you to notice is to the upper right side, there's a golf course. That long area to the right side is hole number 6, along par 4. There is a cart path directly adjacent to that sound wall right now. When you were going to bring the ramps down, you were going to have trucks 20 feet above the people, right below that wall. If they had a blowout, you'd have a catastrophe on the golf course. You're hitting 8 golf courses on desert trails with this project. You're probably going to damage that out. The other thing I think you need to understand is that the houses, there are 38 houses that are directly on the golf course area. And there's probably, it's going to impact, and if you'll give me a moment, remember, 27 years, I appraised this stuff. I've testified in court more times than you have hair in your head. Now, I've done a preliminary estimate, and the damages without a sound wall, is going to be in the neighborhood of $6.7 million to the houses of Sun City. Now, we did not cause the problem. The problem is all on the other side of the freeway. That's where the cure should take place. After 12 years, with a ramp down there unfinished at El Mirage, why is it such a rush at this point that you build a new one on 155th? You haven't even used the one down there. Build the El Mirage extension, the Showmax, before you come talking to us and trying to put that traffic in our backyards. It's a terrible thing to do. Going on to page 3. What I've done here is, my house is in the lower orange box. From my house out to Grand Avenue, 2.5 miles. From my house over to El Mirage Interchange, 3.6 miles. Now, if you built an imaginary house due north of mine at 151st and Happy Valley Road, that's the middle dot, it is only 3.4 miles to that interchange of it, El Mirage, and it's again the same 2.5 to get to Grand Avenue. So if we're talking about circuitous travel, which I don't think, I've been out of the business for a few years, obviously, but circuitous travel was not compensable when I was working for the state of Oregon. As long as you don't take away all access, as long as you have reasonable access, you don't have a problem. If you can look at where Jomax would be, it would be 4.5 miles down to the 303. If you would drop that interchange from Jomax down to Happy Valley, it's only 3.1 miles. Now, we believe that you ought to take care of building what you already sat there for 12 years and you've ignored, which is the El Mirage situation. The last page is one of your pages, which is the budget of what you're contemplating for El Mirage Road. Now, what this is just a second way to get into the statute. It does nothing for the people that are up in the upper area of the Happy Valley area. That you should draw a line directly from El Mirage all the way up to theoretically where you're going to put Jomax. That's where you should be aligning that traffic. It shouldn't be going up to the north, the west to make another access to the stanchion. There's a problem that's been going on here. And I think the problem is with Peoria. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something that doesn't feel right. When you're sitting for 12 years and you don't build it. I can see when the original 303 was built, Peoria said, well, don't make this building now. We'll build it in the future as soon as you get people in the area. So what are you going to do? They're going to have us build this 155th. The same people in Peoria are going to say, oh, well, we don't need to build the El Mirage anymore. You solved it with the 155th. Build El Mirage first before you come to us. Thank you.
So can I address a couple of those items before we go into thinking? So sir, thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time to put these exhibits together. So there's a couple things there. So during the presentation, we did cover El Mirage Road, the extension. So that is under design. We've spent the last year studying that. We're ready to start on final design with that. And that's going to be starting construction in 2028, I think. So that is happening. We also talked a little bit about the Maricopa Association of Governments. They're the planning agency in the valley. So they maintain, they operate, they run the traffic models that tie all of this together. So Surprise has projects going. Peoria has projects, ADOT does, they magnetize all that together in their model. So the model and the traffic numbers that we're showing you and talking to you about today includes all of those. So Peoria and Surprise are working on a project to get Jomax built. ADOT is working on a project to get this interchange built. And Peoria is working on El Mirage. So all of that ties together into one model that looks at how does the traffic work. And on the one exhibit you have here that shows the miles, that may be true, but if you're sitting in traffic for 2 hours to go 2 miles, that that isn't the same as having another access that gets you to where you're going in at a quicker time. So part of what we looked at during the project assessment was how much travel time can be saved with using these different interchange locations based on knowing what all the cities and local jurisdictions have planned. So that has been taken into consideration. So I just don't want to look at it and say, oh, well, it's only 2.5 miles. We have to look at how much time is it taking someone to go those 2.5 miles.
Okay, how many people from Sun City West are going to get direct access to 155th? Nobody.
There is no
Nobody.
direct
It
access
doesn't
to
serve us
the.
at all. It is something you're putting all the pressure on our backyards, but we get no benefit from it at all. Because it's a T intersection serving only the people to the north. You know, there's no traffic problem on the 303 right now outside of our places, but you're gonna put an interchange there. And the traffic's gonna go through, so really, it's not needed for the 303 traffic. You're doing it totally for the people who live in Surprise and Peoria on the north side. So it's nothing more than an extension of the city street. Now, as Ron said earlier, if the federal government were involved in this, and when I worked with FHWA, this would have never happened. It would have never happened. I don't know what you guys are doing. I really don't.
Thank you. Not doing it.
Tricia, do you have any more response?
I think Dana does.
I do. I just. Hi there. I'm Dana Mann. I'm the Assistant Communications Director for Community Relations for ADOT. And I just wanted to kind of address a couple of different comments and specifically related to this project not being like a NEPA study, environmental assessment. I've consulted with our head of environmental planning, and he has confirmed multiple times that this should be a state level clearance because we are just evaluating the change. We've done that on other projects. I'll give you a couple of examples. We did that on the 101 at 64th Street in North Phoenix. So it frequently happens that ADOT plans an interchange for something that will extend to the local roadway network for plans in the future. We're doing that also at 303 and 55th, 51st Avenue, 67th Avenue that will ultimately be extended by the city of Phoenix based on future development. So it's exactly the same kind of thing. And I do recognize that Sun City West is adjacent to this interchange, but there is tons of growth happening to the north. When 303 was originally put in and expanded, it's all based on modeling for the next 20 years. And so all of that growth that's been happening has been, is cumulative, right? So what we're doing now is based on 20 years in the future. What was put in 20 years ago was based on modeling for right now. And so we're getting to the point where we have those needs, and we recognize that there may not be as much direct benefit to Sun City West residents. However, from a regional perspective in this area, the traffic demand is massive. And it will benefit you in ways on US 60 in terms of travel on US 60 for the travel that you do there, as well as reduce, have drivers going and staying on the north side of 303 instead of using Grand Avenue. So I think that just kind of putting that into perspective, but just confirming that, yes, this is a state clearance. And we are just evaluating that interchange, and that we do need both. It's an and not an either or. It's not an El Mirage or this. It's both, as well as interchange improvements at US 60 and 303 as the ultimate configuration. This valley and this region is growing, and this is part of the regional plan to address that. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
All right, my name's Don Hansel. I live in Sun City West on Las Brisas. That's gonna be directly affected. First, I'd like to thank PORA. I knew nothing about this till Ron came to my door in November. And as he stated, nobody on that whole strip of Las Brisas knew anything about this project at that point in time. So your program for informing people was very ineffective, either unintentionally or intentionally. I was at the state transportation board meeting and presented my arguments for why you wouldn't first complete El Mirage before you even think about any other interchange. And I still don't think you presented a case for that. You may not need another interchange if El Mirage is completed. Why waste $100 million? And for the first time today, I understand there's no federal. I did not know that. But why waste that kind of money when you could complete El Mirage, see what the impact is? It could be done much more quickly than completing a whole new interchange to then try to alleviate some things at Route 60. I just don't understand why you wouldn't do that first and then do 155th if it's necessary. Madison, I have a question for you. You mentioned there were 1,563 responses. How many of those were from Sun City West residents?
So we did not have a zip code section where we could have collected that information. However, we had numerous individuals who commented from the Sun City West community saying this area would have fewer impacts to Sun City West. This area would have more impacts. So we had both positive and negative comments from Sun City West, but we did have.
How many?
I didn't know they were from Sun City West.
If they didn't.
If you guys would like, we can share all the comments with you. We
It's a
have
waste
a,
of time. It's a waste of time.
okay, well, we just,
I just don't believe that many were from Sun City West residents. There's nobody knew about it. Okay. That's enough. The other question I have is when you adopted the 155th option, according to your PA, you said the configuration presented in the initial PA was located further west, aligning directly with 155th Avenue. After receiving public feedback, the study team reevaluated this configuration and shifted the traffic in. Causing you to shift it slightly east, putting one of the ramps right in the backyard, feedback from us on that. And it said the new 155th line would have better compatibility with plan system.
Excuse me, we are losing audio online. We cannot hear the comments. Please rectify that situation.
Yeah, the internet is, you're fine, Madison.
Okay.
The rec center internet here is showing unstable. And so we apologize, but it is what it is.
Well, let's continue. Darris's damage assessment, 6.7 million, and I expect, you know, the credential to come up with.
Alexa, stop.
I think it's very low because I've looked at this situation. I think my property and the other 26 on Las Brisas become unsaleable when this ramp goes in. Nobody in their right minds would buy any of those houses looking at a 30-foot ramp with trucks coming 24/7 down those ramps, up those ramps. They're unsaleable. So they're worth nothing. I mean, fair market value is what a reasonable buyer would pay, you know, the salary. No reasonable buyer would even think about buying our houses. The other question I have is when you moved it slightly east, where were those ramps located before? Can you tell me that?
I guess I don't quite understand your question. You're saying we moved them from the west to the east, and you're saying where were the ramps?
Yeah. Your 155th option, you said you reevaluated the configuration, shifted the traffic exchange slightly to the east of the original PA.
Yes.
Where were the ramps on the 155th option under the original PA?
So under the original PA, they were further to the west,
Yes.
which it had some impacts with what we believe is going to happen with the ultimate improvements at US 6303. So by moving it to the east, it allowed us to shift those ramps to the north because we didn't have the weaving from what we think is going to be the ultimate interchange. So let me just jump in real quick. I mentioned early on, we are still collecting survey data. Okay, so the project assessment is a very preliminary engineering look. We don't have the survey data. We can't go out there and say, okay, well, you know, let's put a retaining wall here. It's going to be so high and that'll pull everything in. Our goal was to not take any right of way from the golf course or anywhere to the south. That's what we were trying to do, in addition to not impacting future improvements at the system interchange.
You put two ramps in the absolute worst spots for Sun City West residents.
And again, we will be looking at that once we get the survey data. We can sit down and actually do some design and get that information, you know, get that worked out to what is the best situation. Look at where the walls need to go. Do we need a screen wall up on top of the freeway? If we need the screen wall, then we'll propose to do that.
You're gonna have a 40-foot wall. You know, the other question I had is before the move slightly west, slightly east, there's vacant land a little further west, south. It's owned by Maricopa County. It's where Deer Valley dead ends.
Oh, God.
Vacant land. I don't understand why you wouldn't have put, if you're gonna go forward with this.
Oh, just a minute. Well, I'm still listening to it. It's just one guy's okay, let me stop because they might be able to hear me.
Keep going.
In effect, you could have your two ramps where they affect much less property value by utilizing that vacant land, you know, and put a ramp there.
Is the vacant land at 163rd? No.
Show you on the map. Okay, if I go back here. Too late.
Of course.
Right in this area, where there's no residents.
Okay.
There's no resident.
This is an open. Labeled Heritage Drive area.
Okay, so again, there's going to be a large system interchange at US 60 and 303. So all of that area right there is going to be consumed by that interchange. So what we're trying to do is not impact what's happening at that interchange with 155th Avenue.
Why?
Well, what do you mean, why? So they both can.
But the damage in north side of Sun City
Yeah,
West.
you'd rather take and make 38 houses unsaleable than, you know, put one of the ramps for this 155th exchange near 160th Street. You've got the ramp by 151st Street. Or Avenue.
So I think Dana was talking about this earlier, that all of these projects work together. They all have to come together and work together for the traffic to be able to function in this area. So if we run those ramps too far to the west, we're not gonna have enough room for merging with the system interchange.
Well,
That's coming. That interchange is coming in 2033.
just to me, again, just to somebody, including, I'll let somebody else talk. Number one, it makes no sense to complete, you do 155th before you complete El Mirage. No sense.
Okay, and El Mirage is under design right now and will be constructed as soon as we can.
Well, it should be
It
constructed
is.
before 155th to see if 155th is necessary. And I still don't understand why you moved it slightly to the west, basically making 38 properties unsaleable. That's all.
Well, we moved it to the east for compatibility with the system interchange and to provide less impacts in the area of 155th Avenue.
Well, there's much greater impacts.
Well, less from where they were shown in the initial project assessment is what I'm saying.
I don't believe that,
Okay.
because you're right in our backyard of town.
Hi, my name is Sharon Penick, and I recently, for everybody in the room, was appointed to the Transportation Planning Commission by the state legislature to represent the unincorporated areas. I live in Sun City West. I can vouch for everybody in here that we didn't get notification. If you're not taking down every single person's name and email address to make sure that they get the information next, then you're not also doing the job. Because it's very important that they have a say in what we're doing. And I understand from your perspective what this is, because I've only been on the commission since January. So I take home about a stack this high of documents to read, 1,200 pages every time there's a meeting. So in what you're saying about this working together, for everybody in the room, you also need to come to the MAG meetings. You need to have somebody at least start representing besides me, okay? I'm 1 against 18 on the committee. But this is the first time we've ever had any representation from the West Valley. So Senator Carroll helped us get me appointed because I've been working on transportation for about 12 years. And I really think that it's very important for us to take a look at what the big picture is, and they don't have the big picture. That's part of the problem. You haven't given them any of the information about all the other 5 studies that are done. And where the one from Wickenburg comes down all the way, the study came all the way down to the 303. They have another one that's on Route 74. There's another one at the 303. They have a bunch of different kinds of studies for this area. So when she's talking about this is a bigger part of the bigger picture, you have to get your voice heard also in May. You also have to have that information there, because if you don't, you're only listening to one piece, small, it's just one part of what McDOT and MAG and the rest of and ADOT are all putting together for you here. And for representing. Well, and I'll give you my phone number, please help. I mean, I just can tell you from now, we never hear from anybody from the West Valley. I never see people down there from the West Valley. I've been working on, I used to sit on the board for Northwest Valley and Tom Jones knows me real well. I was on the board there for 9 years, helping you get the right to places. So I mean, it's very important for us to see what the big picture is. Thanks. And I appreciate your work.
Can I ask a question of Jim?
Can I say something for a little bit?
Well, I was just gonna address that question real quick, or that comment. Do we have, is there a list of people who are in this group that we could get? There's not.
You can send us information, we will send it out to everybody.
Then you'll take care of it.
Can we still be part of the survey? Can we have our voice heard as a part of the survey?
Yeah, I'll reopen the survey. We'll give you some feedback.
So. That's an option. But also, Mike and Ron, went to door and we did an online petition. And just by asking, we got 200 signatures that basically oppose and are requesting deep thought in the mitigation planning. You know, it's unfortunate that we're in this predicament. It really is. In fairness, you know, you guys probably stuck to the plan and communicated. One of the things that I'm finding is you're in a 55 and older community. This newspaper, The Independent, is literally the lifeblood of communication in this community. The emails, not so much. Facebook, not so much. Social media, period, not so much. It's mail and it's that newspaper. And we're slowly evolving to the 21st century, but you are in an active adult living community. And that is the means of communication, mail and newspaper.
That's very helpful. And also we'll get information to Cindy to get out to everybody. So as Dana just said, yeah, the 155th Avenue location has been chosen. So we're at a point now where we're ready to start the design. We're gonna have better survey data to get you better information. And we are very interested in having that conversation about mitigation, what can be done. You know, how can we accommodate as many people as possible? That's why we're here.
And I appreciate it. So when do we have some preliminary, I mean, we don't want to wait till 2027, 60% to have an idea of where your guys kind of penciled in the mitigation, where we can have a conversation still and still open to thought and discussion.
Well, I'm gonna speak out here in Madison, and Dana can kick me, but I mean, I would be open to coming back once we have some preliminary plans. And maybe just do an update to this group, you know, instead of me saying, oh, we don't have survey data, we'll have that, we'll have a little bit better information. We're not gonna have everything ready that we would at the public meeting, but you know, we certainly could talk about update meetings maybe in 3 months. I don't know how summer is out here, if that's a popular time to be here or not.
Yeah.
Whatever is convenient,
We'll probably nail the fall, September, October.
even better.
Okay.
We'll have more information, but we're happy to do that.
And to be honest with you folks, I don't know how many folks, I'll let you have my 30 seconds. But I gotta do the blood. I don't know how many of you are PORA members, and I don't know how many of you lost faith in PORA. But as you can see, there is a need for PORA. So PORA, SCW.org, we need it, I mean, they dropped the ball. I'm just gonna offer, you know, I'm in the Capitan's chair, we'll own it. And, but we need everybody to grab a bucket and join. And we need to put our voices together, because little fragmented voices are gonna go nowhere. And being the president, I'm working with Shola, I'm working with Portabella, I'm working with the Grand, and we're creating a coalition where we're joining our voices to get our communities uniting to have one voice. And then ultimately, we want to bring on other active adult living communities in the area. So anyways, please get the word out. we need to bring more, get that voice stronger than ever. We're being encroached upon in our community. I mean, this is the prime example. It's right there in the backyard. And so this is just, we've gotta stop the encroachment the best that we can.
So, and also for anybody who has to leave, so we will go ahead and add to our contact list, everybody who has signed the petition. I know not everybody, I was just glancing through, not everyone put their email address on there, and maybe it's because you didn't want to be contacted via email. But in regards to like a sign-up sheet, that was mentioned, since this wasn't our meeting, we would normally circulate a sign-in sheet, but so I would just say that if you would like to make sure that you have us add us to your contact list for email or mail, that you, I can, just pass around my notebook or something, or we can go back to the slide and you can, if you have a smartphone or you wanted to take it down, you can sign up for our email address. So we will, just as a reminder, when we have the public meeting, when we have this meeting with PORA, we will communicate that out through our Gov delivery notice. Again, not the public meeting, this next meeting with PORA. We'll communicate that out through the community. And anybody on our list, we'll make sure we get that out. And then when we go to have the public meeting, we will notify people through our email Gov delivery list, as well as mail within 1 mile of the interchange location, as well as to PORA, as well as, to news media and, local jurisdictions and, next door, different methods. So just making sure that we want to get you on our list. If you're not on this, I'll circulate something and we can have people sign up, or you can sign up on your own. We want to make sure you, and I'm sorry, what was it?
Cindy has access to all of them.
Oh, she does?
Yeah.
Oh, and so you're gonna share that with us? Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
The next May meeting is the third Wednesday of they meet every Wednesday, the third Wednesday of the month, from 11:30 to 1. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because all the way to Phoenix. If we had a bus, we could get there. However, you have to drive it. So it's the MAG offices in downtown Phoenix. And the reason I'm telling you about this particular meeting is they're going to go over the long range planning, and then also in May and June with this specific information. So it's
What time is the meeting?
11:30 to 1.
So if you guys are part of the PORA, we send out a weekly newsletter, and it's going to be chock full of information regarding this interchange. And we're also in the process of lobbying against the APS rate increase. So that'll be chock full of information as well. I did have one question for you, Dina. In regards to community engagement standards, in regards to how it's mandated by federal ADOT dollars, federal dollars, and how the standard is for state and county dollars. Are they two different sets of standards?
And we have a public involvement plan on our website that lists all of the standards for public involvement. So there's a federal standard for National Environmental Policy Act projects, which are projects that are federally funded and have an impact. So we have there's three different levels. The way that the projects are evaluated on when they receive federal funding. It's a categorical exclusion, and that means it's not anticipated to have significant impacts. There's an EA, which may have impacts, and you conduct the environmental assessment to determine whether there's significant impacts. And if there are, then you conduct an environmental impact statement, which is a much higher level study. There are federal requirements associated with an EPA study. For example, an EIS has a public hearing requirement, and 45-day comment period. It has the requirement for public scoping and agency scoping and some other things that's related to the level of advertisement. Direct notification to property owners is part of that, and when they say impacted property owners, that's typically within the area of environmental analysis or right-of-way impact. So if you have if you have a project that has a potential right-of-way impact or a NEPA for an EA or an EIS, you would need to notify, those property owners of that potential impact to engage them. So again, a direct property impact or an area within the area of environmental analysis. As Tricia mentioned, in terms of noise and visual impacts, that's typically about a 500 to 900 foot distance from the freeway base for noise, because that's just the furthest that there would be potential impacts. There's a very specific meaning to that. So what I would say, sort of in short, hang on a second, let me finish. So ADOT has standards that are exceeding the federal standards in terms of what we do for projects. And so we always do, when we have a public meeting that we host, when we have a public hearing, we always do mailers within 1 mile. Again, that's exceeding the federal requirements. We do that for, design phase public meetings. We do, we have advertisements that we do and different things, but it's all outlined in there. But all of our outreach meets or exceeds federal standards. So we have our ADOT standards are higher than the federal standards. So I just wanted to emphasize that. Let me just say, it's not negating what I'm hearing from you, which is that you do not feel that you knew what's going on. And I understand that. However, we did receive significant outreach from a number of people, from 1,600 people plus the people who attended the public meeting. And we did get comments that indicated that people were from Sun City West. We can surely share those comments, but from an outreach perspective, I do feel like we did get comments on that. What I'm hearing is that you don't feel like you knew and had input. I don't know. So again, I think all we can do is move forward at this point, because I don't think, what I'm saying is I don't think that would change.
It's not my point at all.
Okay, so.
Not my point at all. I'm saying that you've got to go a lot further with your noise assessment from 500 to 900 feet, as I heard it. You can go 2 blocks away. I have put new windows in my house. I moved in 2 years ago, and I have done everything. I'm still hearing the car reaching trucks, and you can go down another block further than me, and that's far beyond the month research people. We've got hundreds more involved that hear that, and that's the point I was trying to make. And I think you need to have somebody out there assessing a much further distance, because please God, come to my house and try and have conversations about God. And we all paid a premium for our houses. I lived in Los Angeles, saw this happen. And what are those houses that were in the suburbs now with all these freeway ramps? They're slums. They are slums. You go into Toluca Lake or anywhere along there. You go to Van Nuys, it used to be really nice. You eat and you got these things, and it brings the wrong people in. And that's from experience. I've seen it.
Thank you. In the sake of time, folks, we gotta kind of.
I want to be real short. I was remiss, I was up here earlier, but I didn't thank Jim and PORA. He took my thunder a little bit ago. I lived here 20 years. I belonged to PORA. They did a lot of really good stuff early on. Something happened in the last 10 years where their efficiency kind of dropped off. There are new people on, it's a new board. I think every one of us here should support them in the future, because they're the ones that are going to help us. That's it.
Good morning.
Good afternoon. Just wanted to see if we were paying attention. My name is Mike Deal. I live over on Las Cruces Lane. And I was wondering, Madison, Tricia, Dana, and Nikki, have any of you actually visited this site along the 303 that we're talking about today? Have you actually been there?
Yes.
Right. So you know exactly what we're talking about.
I don't live on that street, but I have been out here, yes.
Well, you're welcome to come over and I can show you from my backyard what we're talking about today. One of the things that concerns me is the sound analysis is done at the end of the at the end of the design cycle, basically. If you haven't allowed room for a sound wall in the design, in other words, you have to assume you're going to do it along the way, then it may not be feasible to actually include it into the design. So I just want to throw that out, that with things as tight as they are with the current design scenario, please have your engineers include space for a sound wall because we're going to need it. Also, one thing I'd like to talk about that is a real problem for us today is the freeway lighting. It's high intensity light. They're about 400 feet apart. They're 100 feet tall, and they put out an amazing amount of light that is in 360 degrees. Please go back to your designers and have them figure out how to send the light down the freeway, but not into our kitchens. All of us along this avenue enjoy lighting from the freeway 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. I mean, at night. And so it needs to be fixed. And as we move into this new design, that would be nice to have as part of the design cycle. So please pass that along. One thing that was brought to my attention early on is the golf course officials didn't know about this. Please include the golf course management and Sun City West management into your communications. That'll be important for us to do. I think most of the other things I wanted to talk about today have been covered thoroughly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chuck MC. I live on the first fairway of Desert Trails Golf Course, about 500 yards from 303. And I wanted to talk about something that I think is very important. But first I wanted to say, when you mentioned your model and 20-year forecasting, George Box, a noted English statistician, once said, all models are wrong, but some are useful. Now, I don't know how useful your model is. I've done a lot of models in my life, but I've never presented results as fact. You need to be very clear with people that they're guesses. They're informed guesses. They may have some rigorous mathematical basis behind them, but they are nevertheless based on assumptions and they're guesses. Okay, so you should make sure you're talking. Now to proceed to what I was going to talk about is, so I'm 500 yards from 303. I have a decibel meter I run on my phone. It's amazing because the sound can be very quiet, and all of a sudden, one vehicle will come by, making a tremendous racket. Okay. Asian crotch rocket, these idiots modify the exhaust to make that noisy, okay? And they have this erroneous idea that, well, pipes save lives, even though that's been disproved by research. They will say that, of course, they're wrong. Now, and semis, similarly, amazing difference in the noise level. It's astounding. Now, I was hiking with a friend in Griffith Park in Los Angeles. We were overlooking the freeway, and I thought, how quiet this freeway is. And you know why? Because California has vehicle noise standards, which Arizona has no vehicle noise standards. So everybody is on you guys, ragging on you guys to put up these enormous
Game of Thrones walls to stop the noise. And I understand why, because the state of Arizona is too lazy or stupid to do something about the problem, which is the excessive noise generated by a storm on reviews. So you might want to take that back to the DOT guys and say, maybe we should have bothered the legislature to do something about this. People think it can't be enforced. Well, you know what? New York has noise detecting cameras that work pretty well, California lazy too. I guarantee you the guys in San Jose can come up with the noise detecting cameras that will tell you exactly which vehicle on the road is following noise. Okay? So everywhere, people will tell you you can't do that, you can do that. Okay? And that's basically what I want to say is that why don't we address the real problem? I mean, the freeway is, in my opinion, is way too noisy. It's way too noisy because of the small percentage of vehicles when you do such things. So why don't you do something else? Do that about it.
Hi, my name is Kathy Wizdall. I live in Sun City West. This project doesn't impact me, but it impacts my community, and that's why I'm here. I do have a question. Who's the lead on the communication team? Dana, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Dana, did you have any direct communication with the general manager of Sun City West?
Let me, oh, bye. I'm sorry, I should say when I am the lead, I oversee our communications. So we had a community relations project manager prior to Madison joining us that was the lead in reaching out to the different communities. So he had reached out to the PORA contact. And so I
guess my question is, I mean, you don't have to, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, but we have a general manager here, and I'm disappointed that I don't see him here, because he is a representative of our community as well as, of course, PORA is from the governmental. I do see some Sun City West board members here, and I'm hoping they take this information back to our governing board and try to raise the flag a little bit more, because this is going to impact Sun City West in the future for home sales. And that has a big impact on the master plan that is going to be coming up. So I think that's an important, his name is Stephen Enro, and that would be a contact you want to make. I'm sure, Jim, you've made that contact. The second thing I just want to clarify, I think it was clarified a little bit, but you're going to project design now, and you said then you can figure out the mitigation. And I've been involved in projects that have project design. That's way too late. So what you're telling us is we cannot stop this project. We can't delay this project. I just want to be clear on that. And wait till, project design will continue even as El Mirage is completed, but there's no stopping or pausing the project. Is that correct?
That is correct. The decision was made to move forward on the 155th Avenue project. We can certainly take that feedback back.
I do think that's sad in that if we could even get a pause, I think that would be critically important to finish that other. But in essence, what you're telling this group is, other than mitigate, which is going to be sound walls, no sound walls, this project is going forward. Right?
Correct. And then just to clarify, as Tricia mentioned, you have to be a certain point through design so that you know where the different, the height of the features and things so that they can model.
I understand that, but I've been involved with design projects. Once you're that far down the road, there's no turning.
Well, I can say this, I don't know what it's gonna be, but I believe until something is built, it can be changed. Okay, so I think what we're saying here is we're somewhere in between this location being selected and this being built. Right, that's what we're working with right now. So when we're saying mitigation, We're talking about design elements that we can incorporate into this project to, I guess, accommodate or ease what's coming for the largest amount of people, right? We're never gonna make everybody completely happy with this. That's just how things are. But some of the comments have been made that, oh, we're too far down the road, there's no way to incorporate this stuff. And that is not the case. Literally, we are still waiting for our original data collection to come in so we can start looking at this. The concepts we have are where is the interchange going to go? It's been selected at 155th Avenue. What the design actually looks like, we haven't finished that yet. And that's
The selection is at 150.
the selection is at 155th Avenue, yes. And, you know, like has been discussed here, there's a much bigger picture of how all these projects get funded, how the puzzle piece comes together.
I understand.
Okay, thanks, sorry. But I'm just saying that when you were asking about holding it up, it's like, it's the domino effect. Things are planned to happen when they're planned to happen. So we are out here making some good faith efforts to find out what are the concerns? What can we possibly do? And, we'll look and accommodate it to the extent that we can. But I don't want anyone to think that the design is so far, done that we can't change anything. We are at a good spot right now to be having this conversation about the lights and about where the screen walls might go and stuff like that.
Thank you.
What about one of the ramps? Are you still flexible on that?
We have some room where we can adjust where the ramps are going, yes. Not all the way to 151st Avenue or to Litchfield. We can't adjust it that far. And we're about as far west as we can go because, like I said, this is the interchange.
Do you want to come to the microphone just so we can hear?
Well, we're looking at that. Like I said, once we have some better survey data, we'll be able to define that. Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to bring to your attention in case you don't know. Excuse me. You mentioned area code 85375. Well, that also includes Portobello. Portobello is not part of Sun City West. So if you notified some people in 85375, it may have been Portobello, but nobody in Sun City West seems to know about this. So that's my point. There's a big difference.
They can see that.
I would say that the outreach was the same.
Was there anything on that that needs to get addressed?
You want to at least read it? You want to just read it?
Just,
We got it online.
Okay, we do have a few comments from folks online. Do you want me to read?
You want to address that one?
Okay, so I think you guys can all read that, but it was, that's actually not a correct statement. So again, it's not an EA. This is a NEPA environmental study, which is an EA or an EIS, is done when we have federal funding and there are anticipated to be significant impacts. We are not getting federal funding, and even if we were, I venture to say that even if we were getting federal funding, I'm not sure that it would be considered significant impacts based on our criteria. It might be an EA because I don't know. I just am saying that it's not an EA because we're not getting federal funding. It's a state level clearance. So it doesn't mean that we're not evaluating environmental impacts, but it's not the same level of study. Do you want to go ahead and?
I was just gonna add, something else that I heard mentioned already, that the categorical exclusion has already been done. We haven't even started the environmental process. So, whatever the environmental process looks like, all of those same elements are going to be looked at. It's just that that's what they're evaluated. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that we have not started the environmental process at this point.
Hello, I am
And
the
I
one
don't
who
know
made
that, I
the
don't
comment.
know that it will affect change, but, depending on the outcome of those technical reports and analyses, you know, it may identify more mitigation areas that need to be addressed as we go forward.
Who does those reports?
Hello, I'm the one who made that comment. I just want to point out in the alternate, can you guys hear me? Excuse me?
ADOT has selected a design consultant who is under contract to the state. And they have on their team environmental experts in the fields of hazmat, biology, cultural resources, noise, and then there are ADOT counterparts. I'm sorry to interrupt. There are ADOT counterparts that work with those people to combine it into one document.
Excuse me, can you
Is
hear
that
me?
what you're asking?
Also, who pays their?
Can you hear me?
I work for ADOT, and this is an ADOT.
Doesn't sound like it.
What is going on?
The traffic interchange is an ADOT project, yes.
Hello?
I'm not sure in which way, but, yeah, it's an ADOT project.
My name is David Albert. I live in Sun City West on West Bruce's Lane. And in listening to this meeting and in my experience in business most of my career, there's a tendency to look for the benefits. And you've spoken to the benefits of the people of the north. What nobody is addressing is the detriments. And we need to think about the detriments. They're talking about the property values as part of it, they're talking about the noise as part of it, but how much of that goes into your planning? Thank you.
I had a question. You guys hear me?
You know, I think, there has been several comments brought up about the value of the properties and, things like that. I think, when we come back in the fall, we will make sure to bring, the ADOT right-of-way people who can answer those questions for you. I don't know that the folks that are here today are prepared to address those, but we will, make sure to bring them next time.
Needs to be part of your planning.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to look at what the benefits are, you have to look at what the negatives are, otherwise you don't have a balanced plan.
Understood. Thank you.
You have time for a question?
Again, the last one, I'm gonna keep it short. Thank you again for coming here today. The comments that you're looking at that have been going up on the board, those are from my daughter who worked for 25 years for the Montana Department of Transportation. And she reviewed all this stuff and she is just totally bewildered by some of the stuff that you've been doing and how you classify things. And how you sort of try to get away and slide under the table and saying that Arizona doesn't comply with these different things. It's just totally bamboozled her. And you can go look at her comments. I looked at some of them while she was trying to listen and talk at the same time. Well, let's go back to El Mirage. You keep saying El Mirage is being built. That's not the El Mirage that I addressed to you back in March of 2025. I told you at that point, don't go northeast just for Peoria, go northwest up the Happy Valley. And that will eliminate the whole need for any of this going up that way. Because it's Happy Valley coming down, access point, it's on Darius's sheet. You sort of ignored it when you talked about it before. The access point from the 155th going east is useless, totally useless. Because all those people that are up there.
It's useless. 155 is useless compared to El Mirage that they could extend.
303, either at El Mirage or further north. They're not going east in order to go west. They're going east to go east. Why are they coming south and building this massive ramp in our backyards so they can go east? And you're talking about this time constraint. Travel time. These people knew when they built there that they had limited access. It was already in existence at that point. They knew 163rd was really a disastrous site, somewhat because of the abysmal design of what was done at the overpass at Grand Avenue when that went in originally. Well, let's face the reality here. 155th is only your detour while you're doing the construction on Grand Avenue. The Grand Avenue access from the master plans that you got for Grand Avenue includes direct access from 163rd. So once that goes through, the 155th is going to be relatively useless because all that's going to happen is some people are going to use it. The other people going east could be going east anyway down the El Mirage. The people going south and west will be getting on 163rd because it has direct access. So you're going to build $100 million project here for a temporary solution. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand.
So I'll just respond to that. I didn't ask a question per se, but just to clarify, so the traffic volume that are being projected for the next 20 years, as Dana explained, does show the need for an interchange at 155th Avenue, at El Mirage Road, and the ultimate improvements at US 60 and 303. So it's not necessarily a temporary fix. It will ease some of the construction demand or what's the word? Impacts. Thank you. Impacts during the ultimate improvements, but all of this infrastructure is needed based on the growth projections and traffic volumes. And then I see that there's a question online asking about the decibel level. Is that 67?
Yes, statistical confidence.
Yeah, it's in terms of the,
She's asking what is the decibel level?
yeah, it's
Sorry, we'll get to you just a second.
yeah, and we'll explain when we go to do a little bit more, the next meeting, we can talk a little bit more about how we do the noise analysis. So 67 decibels is the threshold for us for noise abatement for both federal standards and ADOT standards, and that would be standards for federal participation in it. But we evaluate if the noise is projected to be approaching that level, so 66 decibels or higher at the closest properties, then we evaluate noise abatement. And again, the distance, and this is all based on federal guidelines, is within 500 to 900 feet. So there's a whole set of criteria. We can share those as well. They're on our website right now. But the threshold is 67. We begin evaluating noise when the projected future noise level is 66 decibels or higher. And then there's some other criteria involved, but that's the threshold.
If you're online and you can hear us, you can unmute yourself.
I've unmuted myself and nobody responds.
Looks like David's trying to talk, but
Yeah.
Get muted. Thank you. If you want to ask him what data he's referring to.
how can you have access?
They're asking about the data.
Yeah.
What data?
What data are you talking about, David?
Well, I'm looking at collected data used to model traffic.
I think you've already covered that.
Yeah, and I think I want to point out too, if you guys want to the project assessment, if we're referring to data related to the evaluation of the alternatives, I mean, there's a number of different criteria that we use to evaluate these alternatives, and including, the traffic modeling and the projected reduction in traffic levels for each option. So we can provide the project assessment to PORA to circulate. As far as other data, we do have, again, we haven't, as Tricia mentioned, they're doing a lot of the data collection. Verifying the height of structures and things like that in the ground and all that. So they're gathering up that data. I think probably the best place to present that is when we come back in a few months, right? And sort of go over that and then sort of look at where we are with the preliminary design at that point, and share some of the, share some of that. I don't believe, I'm not sure at that point the noise analysis will be done, because again, the noise analysis is fairly precise, and we need to know exactly where the edge of the roadway will be and the height and all those kinds of things, so that has to be finalized before they will do the noise evaluation model. So Tricia, I don't know if you want to follow up on that. Okay, so I got that right. So I don't know, did I address that? Did I answer that adequately, or another person can't unmute themselves, but if there's any other data that they're talking about, let us know.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. My name is Deb Wambach. I am the daughter of Ron Wambach. I've spent many, many years at our home in Arizona on Las Brisas Lane in Sun City West. So, and I've also worked for 26 years for the Department of Transportation and in Montana, excuse me. I just would like to say that the alternatives analysis states in section 5.4 that due to the level of impacts, it is expected to be an EA when funding was uncertain. That is the information that all of these community members have to go on. That is the only document that we have that has been available to us for evaluation and information. So it is absolutely ludicrous that just because of your funding source, you would not address this obvious, substantial community controversy and moderate impacts that are expected. You continue to refer to this alternative as the 155th alternative. However, it really is the 155th alternative offset, right? I mean, it has been moved to the east. It is the offset impact, which absolutely overlaps what was is the 151st Avenue alternative, in which case those impacts are expected to be moderate to the residents of Sun City West, specifically Las Brisas Lane adjacent to the golf course. Therefore, it is fully expected that you will absolutely evaluate, analyze, and mitigate whatever moderate impacts are expected in that case. The footprints overlap. So that is my first point. And then we go on to say that, I mean, obviously the outreach has been ridiculous for this community. And just because your funding source is not federal doesn't absolve you of the responsibility to address substantial community controversy and to mitigate the impacts expected, both visual, noise, and value. And lastly, the baseline conditions. I recently spent 6 weeks at my father's house in the bedroom, the master bedroom, adjacent to the golf course. The lights from the existing freeway shine into the bedroom, across the golf course from the existing freeway. They light up the bedroom. The noise literally affects conversations occurring in the backyard adjacent to the golf course. The baseline conditions are unacceptable and therefore cannot be used as the basis for your current noise and visual impact analysis. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Ooh, she's pretty good.
Yeah.
That I could understand.
Yes. So where's the money coming from?
Local, El Mirage, Peoria, and one other city. It's not federal,
Yeah,
but it's on a federal highway.
yeah.
I have a point.
Funny, or it didn't,
Go ahead.
we're still.
Yeah.
Okay, so in reference to the previous comments, as Tricia mentioned, there will be an environmental, again, a state level environmental clearance that is done on this project, evaluating all the same types of things, which would be
See,
noise.
Arizona has no noise standard.
So no what, I'm sorry.
No noise standard. He's asking if Arizona has a noise
standard. So Arizona does, the Arizona has a noise standard, as I mentioned, it's 67 decibels for freeways. And then again, there's some other criteria related
17
to
people
that.
want to talk.
Sir?
Sorry, that's okay.
Yeah.
So we'll be evaluating, air quality, noise, socioeconomic impacts, cultural impacts, water quality, just a host of different things that will be part of the environmental evaluation and clearance, for this project. We did conduct an alternatives analysis. I want to be clear, we conducted
I
an
don't know if I had
alternatives
about enough.
analysis
Yeah, me
as
too.
part of the project assessment, and that project assessment was made available. So again, it's not that we have conducted, we've conducted analysis on these. As Tricia mentioned, we're refining, we refined the location. It looks like there may be opportunities to, do some more refinement to the design. And so we are definitely, interested in hearing from you and getting more input as we start to refine the design. And we know what your concerns are and share like the preliminary concept and get some feedback on some preliminary concepts to help minimize to the extent possible. Again, as she mentioned, yes, we need to look at what mitigation would be involved in any kind of impacts that come from this project. So that is what we'll be doing as part of that analysis and during the design process. So we'll definitely include you, and we'll have a special meeting to go over the preliminary design in a few months.
All right, we'll give them one more crack at it.
Hello. Am I coming across? No. Okay. No. I'm not coming through.
Hello, can you still hear me?
I hear you, Deb. Hey, you had some good points, and we may just as well have our side discussion. I think that without any data to quantify what is and what isn't, then things get deemed acceptable or unacceptable.
Absolutely.
And when you make the example of what you could hear adjacent to the golf course, as you hear that as baseline, then that's unacceptable, and that should be mitigated before there's any further development.
Correct. And that's the most important thing, because the standard is that you use the baseline and then you evaluate noise impacts in addition to the baseline. And the whole point of the matter is that the baseline visual being light and the baseline noise being extreme, constant traffic volume with the occasional, revving motorcycle, the semi trucks, the whatever, that is in addition to the unacceptable baseline. So they need to know that. And that is a point of emphasis that